We see siblings who are completely polar opposites of one another, and I'm going to share some of the reasons why that's the case, even if they've been parented by the same two parents, under the same roof, and in most cases, a similar upbringing. It is psychologically, financially, socially, mentally impossible for a parent to treat their child the exact same as their second child, their third child, their fourth child, and beyond. Why do I say that? Because the moment in time when a child is being parented or comes into the parents' lives includes a range of factors that impact how the child is actually developing and learning and growing as they begin to age and get older. Timing of when the parent chooses to have the child. This includes what psychological position are both of the parents in at the time of having the child, what financial position are the parents in at the time of having the child, what is the actual marriage and relationship dynamic like at the time of having the child, are there any health challenges that the either parent is experiencing, are there any family challenges that either parent is experiencing, are either parents working, what type of work are each of the parents doing, are they maybe not working, how physically demanding is the job or the work that each parent is doing. That could impact the child. Gender also plays a huge factor in how the child is brought up into the world. A daughter will develop a very different relationship with the mother compared to the father, and vice versa. The son will develop a different relationship with the father and the mother. So in a little bit of a nutshell, every child is born into a new version of their parent based on where the parent is at in the specific moment in their life that they choose to have the child. One child might be brought into the family when they're emotionally stable, financially stable, the marriage is very healthy and stable, and then another child a few years later may be brought into a home where suddenly there is a high stress environment. One parent or both parents are experiencing job loss or an illness or a mental health challenge, or they could also be coming into a marriage that has now turned into a divorce several years later. The type of pregnancy that the mother experiences with one child versus another child is also going to impact the child, the environment that they're also coming into. And this is related emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and how strong of a relationship that the mother has with the father and vice versa. I myself am not a parent, however, I've worked with children for over 5 years now. So I have seen how much of an emotional sponge that children absorb from their parents. They absorb absolutely everything from the tone in which things are said, the energy in which things are displayed or portrayed. They absorb the presence or potentially lack of presence from one parent or both parents. And they are also impacted by the attention that they are given or, again, not given based on how many other siblings are involved, how many other children are around, and also any particular mental health challenges that one sibling or another has that the parent or parents need to have more of a focus on a particular child over another child based on any mental health challenges or health conditions that one child or more are experiencing. Now, I have worked within families who have children with severe disabilities, autism, psychosocial disabilities, nonverbal communication, and impacting their ability to learn, their ability to absorb information, their ability to communicate and socialize with other children or with other people their age, and how they actually interact with adults. And for a little bit of context and background, I have also personally grown up with a sibling who has lived with a psychosocial disability. So I've seen from a very young age the impacts on either sibling, parents, the mother, the father, and the different dynamics between parent and child. So it doesn't matter whether or not you are financially ready for a child, you think that you're emotionally ready for a child, you think that you're psychologically ready for a child. There are so many other influences that come into play when raising a child. And I've witnessed parents with with very young babies. I have witnessed parents with young toddlers, and I have then witnessed even more experience with parents who are raising teenagers within the most critical times and crucial times of their learning and development stages. Two children can grow up in the same household, in the same dynamic, have the same two parents, and both children can experience and perceive the external situation, the external world around them completely differently. They can interpret the same events completely differently. One child might view a parent who is being distant as a form of rejection, and therefore they may grow up with an abandonment wound. Whereas the second child may actually see the distance from the parent and view it as independence, and they grow up with more of an independent outlook on life, and they appreciate the parent in more of a way that they have viewed themselves as allowing to explore more or do more things on their own terms, and assist them in becoming a more independent adult. The emotional needs or the emotional competencies that the child begins learning from a young age, again, is going to be completely varied on how they internalize something. So what one child may just shrug off and not ever think about again, and mum yelled at me because she was having a bad day, like, ugh, whatever, like, I'll, like, there's nothing to think about. Whereas another child may completely internalize that they are the reason why the parent was yelling at them, and they may internalize this and conceptualize this into their adult life, and this can then lead to more suppressed wounds as well. And gender plays a huge factor in children. So mothers will relate subconsciously different to their daughters versus their sons, and fathers will relate subconsciously different to their sons versus their daughters. A father, for example, may want to bring up their son in a way that allows him to, be a man and stand up for yourself and speak up for yourself. Whereas for a daughter, he may want to be a little bit more protective of her and make sure that she doesn't, get in any harm's way, and that she's a little bit more taken care of in a way because she's a female versus the son who is the male. We can also take into consideration each parent's childhood traumas that they personally have experienced, that they are still subconsciously holding on to, or they are also modeling their own parents in a way that they were parented and bringing down these particular parenting skills onto the children that are coming into their new family. And then finally, the temperaments of each individual child is going to be very different to their siblings. They could be neurodivergent, so they could, again, have very differing beliefs, emotional sensitivities that the other sibling may not have or may not be inclined to react upon, for example. And this plays a massive role in how the child is engaging within their environment. Some children are more sensitive to sounds, some to perceived rejection, whereas other children may just brush it off and not even give it a second thought. The sibling that may also not even give it a second thought could also be very detached in a way as well, whereas another sibling or another child could be very attached to a reaction, to a response, to an outcome. These are all the factors and the reasons that we see siblings who can be complete opposites of one another, and we may see one child who suffers from anxiety, depression, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder, while another sibling may seem completely untouched. And from an external perspective, you may see that these children, it looks as if they've come from two separate families. You look at one sibling and they seem to have a very safe and a close bond with both of their parents, or one parent more than the other. And then you look at another child and you see that they have no bond with their parents. They are completely distant from their parents and abandoned by their parents. And again, you would look at these two children and think that they would come from completely different families. Another child might thrive under chaotic or high-pressured situations, whereas another child may completely crumble, fall under pressure, and then experience a mental health condition or a mental health challenge. It's not about putting any blame on either parent, on the parenting dynamic, on any parents in general. I truly believe that every single parent is doing the best that they possibly can with the tools that they have in the time that they choose to bring a child into the world. It's only about acknowledging complexity, because we don't all grow up with the same parents, even when we do. Please subscribe to my YouTube. I look forward to doing more videos about these topics around psychological safety, communication, emotional intelligence, all of the topics that I'm really passionate about, and I want to be able to share my wisdom, my knowledge, due to all of my experiences that I really believe are so beneficial to those that need to hear it. So if you watch this far, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos.